Passport is the most powerful document you own, yet it's fragile enough to be destroyed by a single coffee stain. One tiny ink smudge or a stray staple can instantly transform your international identity into a useless scrap of paper. We've unraveled 50 of the most absurdly strict rules governing your mobility, from hidden visa traps to the strange items customs can legally seize. 1. If your dog decides your passport looks like a tasty chew toy, do not even think about taping it back together. The U.S. State Department considers any unauthorized alteration as official mutilation. Even a tiny piece of clear household tape holding a torn page together instantly invalidates the entire book. You will be stopped at the border and treated like an international art forger. Have you ever tried to explain to a humorless border agent that a golden retriever ate your federal documents? Good luck! 2. You cannot wear glasses in your U.S. passport photo under any circumstances. It truly does not matter if you are legally blind without them and bump into walls. The border facial recognition software hates a glare on your lenses far more than it hates actual contraband. If you forget to take them off for the flash, your application is heading straight to the government rejection pile. It forces everyone to squint blindly into the camera, making us all look wonderfully confused and suspicious. 3. Technically, a legally recognized American citizen can never be officially denied entry into the United States, even if they show up at the border completely naked with zero identification. The Constitution fiercely guarantees your absolute right to return. However, the enormous catch is that agents will mercilessly detain you in a cold holding cell for hours, or even days, until they can verify your identity through vast federal databases. You will eventually get in, but they ensure you will suffer immensely first. 4. Applying for an American immigrant visa requires a rigorous, highly invasive medical examination by an approved foreign doctor. Shockingly, this medical professional is actively searching your skin for tattoos that might indicate gang affiliation. A poorly drawn skull or a specific geometric pattern you got as a rebellious teenager can trigger a massive security red flag. The government can permanently bar you from entering the United States just because you made a highly questionable aesthetic choice years ago. 5. A United States passport grants you access to almost the entire globe, with one glaring exception printed right in the federal regulations. Your blue booklet is strictly invalid for travel to North Korea. Unless you secure a highly exclusive special validation from the Secretary of State, usually reserved for journalists or the Red Cross, stepping foot in Pyongyang is a severe federal crime. 6. The State Department actively discourages you from looking happy in your official photo. You are legally required to maintain a strictly neutral facial expression with both eyes open and your mouth entirely closed. A slight smirk might slide by, but a full toothy grin distorts your facial geometry for their security scanners. Try your absolute best to look like you are enduring a massive inconvenience, which honestly is the perfect emotional preparation for modern international air travel anyway. 7. Smuggling a hollow chocolate egg could actually get you treated like a hardened criminal. Kinder Surprise eggs are strictly banned from entering the United States because the little plastic toy inside is considered a deadly choking hazard. Customs agents seize tens of thousands of these innocent chocolates every single year. If you are caught with one hidden in your luggage, you could face a fine of up to $2,500. Are cheap plastic toys worth funding a municipal government? 8. When applying for a standard tourist visa, you have to aggressively prove that you actually want to go back home. By law, every single applicant is automatically presumed to be a secret immigrant plotting to stay in America forever. It is entirely up to you to prove them wrong by showing incredibly strong ties to your home country, like a great job or property. If you look way too excited about visiting and have nothing anchoring you back home, your application is going straight into the trash. 9. If an overzealous border agent in another country aggressively stamps your passport and the dark ink bleeds through the paper, making the American visa on the other side unreadable, you are in serious trouble. The United States government considers that expensive visa completely void. You now have to pay for and apply for a brand new one all over again. Your travel plans can be entirely ruined, simply because a tired guy in a toll booth had a remarkably heavy hand with his favorite rubber stamp. 10. Do not ever try to save that complimentary apple from your airplane breakfast to eat later in your hotel. Crossing the U.S. border with undeclared agricultural products is a massive federal offense. A woman was once fined $500 because an apple she received in flight was found tucked in her bag during a random customs check. The agents treat rogue fruit exactly like biological weapons to prevent foreign pests. Just let the multi-billion-dollar airline keep their sad, bruised apples. 11. Border agents possess the terrifying, completely legal power to demand the passwords to your smartphone and laptop without any warrant whatsoever. Warrants are simply unnecessary at the international border. If you refuse to unlock your devices, they will calmly confiscate your expensive electronics and potentially deny you entry altogether. They can literally clone your entire hard drive on a whim. Does the thought of a federal agent reading your group chats make you break out in a cold sweat? 12. Escaping your responsibilities by moving to a tropical island is not a viable strategy. If you owe more than $2,500 in unpaid child support, the U.S. government will flatly refuse to issue you a passport. If you already have one, they can legally revoke it while you are traveling, leaving you stranded abroad. The State Department actively coordinates with local health and human services to trap deadbeat parents. You cannot outrun your debt on an international flight. 13. Dramatic facial surgery or a massive amount of weight loss means your current travel documents are now functionally useless. Modern facial recognition software simply cannot handle severe physical alterations. If your jawline suddenly looks flawlessly sculpted after an expensive medical retreat, border agents will fiercely suspect you stole someone else's identity. You are legally required to apply for a completely new booklet before flying. Upgrading your appearance can actually get you detained indefinitely. 14. Think giving up your American citizenship is as simple as cutting up a credit card? Think again. The State Department charges a staggering $2,350 just to process your official renunciation. You also must attend a formal exit interview where the government aggressively probes your motives. If they suspect you are fleeing purely to dodge federal taxes, they can legally deny your request to leave. Does the land of the free feel like a costly subscription service? 15. The green card lottery is an incredibly competitive path to American citizenship, but your dreams can be crushed by a bad shadow. If the background of your application photo is not perfectly white or off-white, you are instantly disqualified. Even a tiny faint shadow cast behind your ear will trigger automatic rejection by their strict software. Millions of hopeful people are silently tossed out of the system every year simply because they did not understand basic studio lighting setups. 16. Overstaying your authorized visit by just 24 hours will trigger a bureaucratic nightmare. If your visa says you must leave by Tuesday and your flight departs on Wednesday, your visa is immediately and irrevocably voided. You cannot just pay a late fee. You will be deported, your current visa will be permanently canceled, and you must apply for a brand new one from your home country. Federal law simply does not care if your connecting flight was delayed by a massive thunderstorm. 17. Arriving at the border heavily pregnant can trigger a highly invasive interrogation. Customs officers have the absolute authority to deny entry to anyone they suspect is coming purely for birth tourism. If they think you are trying to secure an automatic American passport for your unborn child, they will put you on the next flight out. You may literally have to prove you have enough cash to pay out of pocket for a catastrophic medical emergency just to convince them it is a simple vacation. 18. Your modern passport contains a tiny, fragile electronic chip hiding inside the back cover. This holds your biometric data and makes you easily scannable. However, if you accidentally bend your passport in your back pocket and break that invisible chip, your document is technically considered damaged goods. Border scanners will reject it, and an agent might interrogate you about why your digital identity is completely dead. Have you ever considered buying a reinforced titanium passport case? 19. Bringing a snack for your dog can easily get you flagged as an agricultural threat. Any pet food containing sheep or beef from specific countries is strictly banned due to fears of mad cow disease. If you toss a seemingly harmless can of premium dog food into your luggage, customs officers will hunt it down with absolute precision. They will confiscate the food and potentially fine you heavily. The Border Patrol defends the national food supply with the intensity of a military operation. 20. Getting married and legally changing your name right before an international honeymoon is a terrible idea. The name on your airline ticket must precisely match the exact name printed in your current passport. If your ticket says your new married name, but your passport still displays your maiden name, security will absolutely not let you board the airplane. You cannot just show them a shiny new marriage certificate and ask for a favor. Bureaucratic mismatch kills the romance immediately. 21. The era of sewing extra visa pages into a heavily traveled passport is completely dead. A few years ago, the State Department permanently ended this convenient service. Today, if your booklet runs out of blank pages while still boasting 8 years of validity, it is officially considered garbage. You are forced to pay full price for a brand new document from scratch. Does anyone actually believe this change was implemented for national security? Or is it just a brilliantly disguised scheme to squeeze more application fees out of frequent flyers? 22. That magical visa waiver program feels like a VIP pass to America, right up until you take a forbidden beach vacation. If a European tourist visited Cuba anytime after January 2021, their glorious digital privilege is permanently revoked without warning. Because the US designated Cuba as a state sponsor of terrorism, a sunny Havana getaway triggers massive bureaucratic retaliation. You must now endure a grueling, months-long in-person interview at an embassy just to take a weekend shopping trip to Miami. One mojito ruins your VIP status forever. 23. Man's best friend can easily become public enemy number 1 at the International Customs Checkpoint. The CDC strictly regulates dog imports, and if your pup's rabies paperwork has a single typo, your furry companion is immediately denied entry. Dogs arriving from high-risk countries without perfect pre-approved microchip documentation are literally deported on the next outgoing cargo flight. Imagine the sheer panic of watching an armed federal agent deport your beloved golden retriever just because your local vet used the wrong color ink on a form. 24. Tourists absolutely love collecting cute novelty ink stamps at famous landmarks like Machu Picchu or Checkpoint Charlie. Unfortunately, the US government officially classifies these fun travel diary entries as highly illegal alterations. The moment a non-government entity stamps your passport, the entire booklet becomes instantly void. Border agents will treat your document as heavily compromised. 25. You have the fundamental right to remain silent, but utilizing it at the customs desk guarantees you will be instantly rejected. While regular police officers need probable cause to detain you, border agents possess extraordinary authority to deny entry to anyone who simply refuses to answer their highly invasive questions. If you stubbornly decline to state your exact travel plans or salary, they will just point you toward the nearest departing flight. Total silence is actively treated as absolute guilt at the international security checkpoint. 26. That sharp military or airline uniform will guarantee a swift rejection if you attempt to wear it in your official passport photo. The government strictly bans any attire that even remotely resembles a recognized uniform, including casual camouflage clothing. You must look completely civilian and utterly ordinary for the security cameras. The strict bureaucracy absolutely refuses to let anyone flex their professional rank or military status. 27. An ancient, completely dismissed arrest can utterly destroy your modern travel plans. When completing a US visa application, every foreigner is legally mandated to disclose prior arrests, even if the charges were entirely dropped and you were proven absolutely innocent. The federal bureaucracy refuses to simply accept your local court victory. They demand to judge the original police report themselves. Omitting an expunged record is aggressively prosecuted as severe visa fraud. Does it terrify you that border security never forgives or forgets a single mistake? 28. Love at first sight is a beautiful concept, But marrying too quickly on a standard tourist visa triggers a massive fraud investigation. If you impulsively tie the knot within 90 days of crossing the border, the cold bureaucracy automatically presumes you maliciously lied about your original travel intentions. Your spontaneous, incredibly romantic honeymoon will immediately transform into a brutal legal defense. You must aggressively prove that your sudden romance is not a highly calculated immigration scam. 29. 3 expensive laptops and a stack of brand new smartphones in your suitcase make you look exactly like an illicit electronics distributor. Even if those shiny devices are just generous gifts for your extended family, suspicious customs officers will ruthlessly slam you with massive commercial import taxes. They automatically assume everything wrapped in factory plastic is meant for the black market. Have you ever tried convincing an armed guard that your grandmother genuinely needs a high-end gaming computer? 30. Unpaid taxes will literally ground your international flights without a shred of warning. If an American citizen owes more than $62,000 in seriously delinquent federal taxes, the IRS gleefully contacts the State Department to freeze their passport. They can deny your renewal or officially revoke your current document while you are happily sipping margaritas abroad. This terrifyingly effective tactic strips away your physical mobility, holding your global freedom completely hostage until you finally pay off that massive government debt. 31. If you are a dual citizen of the United States and another country, you absolutely must use your U.S. passport to enter and leave America. You cannot just pick whichever passport line looks shorter and faster at the airport. Using your secondary passport to cross the U.S. border is a direct violation of strict federal law. It is the government's way of demanding absolute, unquestioning loyalty to their specific paperwork. They need to know exactly when you come and go, and they refuse to share the tracking. 32. That deeply relaxing beach vacation could accidentally turn you into an illegal worker overnight. Modern tourists love to casually check work emails or finish a quick project for their company back home while lounging by the hotel pool. Here is the terrifying catch. U.S. immigration law strictly forbids any unauthorized labor on American soil, absolutely regardless of where your actual employer is legally located. If a border agent scrolls through your phone and discovers you plan to attend a Zoom meeting for your foreign job, they can instantly cancel your tourist visa. You are technically stealing a tiny fraction of economic activity, and the massive bureaucracy punishes this digital trespassing with instant deportation. 33. The FDA absolutely despises all raw milk products. If you attempt to cross the border with authentic, unpasteurized brie or camembert that has been aged for less than 60 days, strict customs agents will ruthlessly confiscate it. They view your harmless luxury charcuterie board as a massive biological threat. It is truly bizarre to watch heavily armed federal officers wage a relentless, totally serious war against soft, creamy snacks. 34. American citizens have the clear constitutional right to freely curse at Border Patrol agents, but foreigners absolutely do not. The First Amendment simply does not protect non-citizens who are merely knocking on the front door of the country. If a tired tourist loses their temper and drops a massive insult after a brutal 3-hour wait, the agent can effortlessly deny them entry based on hostile behavior. Would you ever risk ruining an expensive vacation just to tell a guy in a uniform what you really think of his bad attitude? 35. Physical gold coins are an absolute bureaucratic nightmare to declare at customs. You might logically think a rare coin with a stamped face value of $50 is completely safe, but agents evaluate it strictly by the current market price of the heavy metal. If your small collection unexpectedly exceeds $10,000 in actual melt value, they will seize the entire stash on the spot. 36. A spontaneous helicopter flying lesson during your classic American road trip is a fantastic way to instantly violate federal law. Tourist visas strictly prohibit enrollment in any kind of flight school, no matter how brief or seemingly casual. Ever since the creation of the TSA, teaching a visiting foreigner how to operate an aircraft requires massive security clearances and a highly specific student visa. Just a single 1-hour introductory flight over the Grand Canyon can trigger a surprisingly serious federal investigation. 37. A single missing punctuation mark can completely destroy your expensive international travel plans. Airline reservation systems are notoriously terrible at handling complex special characters, double-barreled surnames, or unusual middle names. If the exact name on your boarding pass drops a tiny hyphen that clearly appears in your physical passport, TSA scanners will immediately flag you as a catastrophic security mismatch. You will be left entirely stranded at the check-in desk, frantically trying to convince an apathetic airline employee that you are exactly who you claim you are. 38. Honesty is usually the best policy, unless you are actively applying for a foreign student visa. If the embassy officer asks about your future plans and you enthusiastically admit that you hope to find a great American job after graduation, your application is instantly and permanently denied. You must fiercely pretend that you will immediately flee the country the very second you receive your diploma. The flawed system forces young scholars into a bizarre theatrical performance of pretending the famous American dream has absolutely zero appeal. 39. That dusty piece of ancient pottery you innocently bought at a European flea market suddenly makes you a potential antiquities smuggler. U.S. Customs strictly enforces complex international cultural property laws. If you cannot rapidly produce extensive ownership history for an old Roman coin or a fragile Greek vase, border agents will eagerly confiscate it as a stolen national treasure. 40. Buying a vintage luxury watch in Switzerland sounds like the perfect vacation memory, right up until customs agents spot the leather strap. If that antique band is made of crocodile or python skin, and you lack strict international wildlife permits, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service will aggressively seize it. They treat high-end fashion accessories with the exact same legal hostility as poached ivory. 41. Finding a cheap, sleek European sports car on your vacation might tempt you to ship it home. However, the Department of Transportation enforces a ruthless 25-year import rule. If that foreign vehicle is not exactly 25 years old, it is entirely banned from crossing the border, regardless of how mechanically safe it actually is. Customs agents have literally seized and crushed imported luxury cars into tiny metal cubes simply because they lacked American emission stickers. 42. Packing a stack of your personal business cards for a fun American vacation is a catastrophically bad idea. If you are entering on a standard tourist visa, you are strictly prohibited from conducting any commercial activity. Should a customs officer search your wallet and find cards listing your professional title, they will immediately suspect you are secretly hunting for foreign clients. They will cancel your visa and deport you simply because you aggressively networked at the absolute wrong time. 43. Most Americans assume you can only possess one valid passport at a time, but the government actually issues secret secondary passports. If you frequently travel between Middle Eastern countries that despise each other, having an Israeli stamp can get you banned elsewhere. To solve this, the State Department will quietly issue you a second, fully valid American passport valid for 4 years. You get to live a bizarre double life, juggling 2 separate identities just to clear international customs. 44. Getting a quick electronic travel authorization seems delightfully easy until you realize the government is casually scrolling through your digital life. Border Protection now actively asks for your social media handles. If you made a highly sarcastic joke on Twitter 5 years ago about secretly moving to America, agents will not appreciate your brilliant comedic timing. Sarcasm simply does not translate into federal law enforcement protocols. Would you want an armed guard grading your old internet memes? 45. Loading your personal laptop with downloaded movies for a long flight could trigger a devastating federal copyright investigation. U.S. border agents possess the explicit authority to search your digital devices for pirated material. If they find illegally downloaded films or counterfeit software, they can completely seize your expensive computer for intellectual property theft. It is the only place where a bored customs officer suddenly transforms into a copyright enforcer. Is that free movie really worth losing your laptop? 46. Traveling with the cremated ashes of a loved one requires incredibly specific packaging to cross the federal border. The urn must be constructed of completely X-ray transparent material like wood or plastic. Out of strict respect, border agents and TSA officers absolutely refuse to open an urn to check the contents physically. If the container is made of heavy metal and blocks the security scanner, they will simply deny the ashes from entering the country. Cold bureaucracy does not suddenly stop at death. 47. Arriving to attend a casual industry conference seems completely normal, unless you packed a massive box of promotional pens. Bringing heavily branded company swag while traveling on a tourist visa instantly raises massive red flags. Border agents actively view the distribution of free promotional materials as unauthorized labor on American soil. They will happily confiscate your harmless plastic pens and potentially deport you for illegally representing a foreign corporation. Who knew a cheap ballpoint pen was a massive threat? 48. For a brief, glorious period, American tourists could legally bring a handful of authentic Cuban cigars back into the country for personal use. That tiny loophole was violently slammed shut in recent years. Today, bringing even a single Cuban cigar across the U.S. border is a strict violation of massive economic sanctions. Customs agents will aggressively crush your expensive tobacco right in front of you. Bringing in an illicit substance is one thing, but getting busted over a fancy cigar just feels incredibly insulting. 49. Losing your passport while traveling abroad is genuinely terrifying, but the temporary replacement causes even more severe headaches. The embassy will issue a highly restricted, limited validity emergency passport that acts like a giant red flag for border security. Because these temporary documents are heavily associated with careless travelers and potential fraud, arriving at U.S. Customs with one guarantees you will be pulled into a tiny room for an aggressive interrogation. Getting home safely makes you look incredibly suspicious. We've dissected 49 of the most exhausting rules on the books, and only one remains. No, first, it's time for the final verdict. The award for the absolute pinnacle of bureaucratic stupidity goes to Item 7. The federal ban on Kinder Surprise eggs. Treating a chocolate candy with a tiny toy as a $2,500 biological threat is pure insanity. Is a plastic trinket really worth more than your life savings? Let us know your pick in the comments. And now, the next number. 50. Bringing more than $10,000 in physical cash across the border is perfectly legal, but failing to declare it is a spectacular mistake. Customs officers will not just give you a polite warning, they will seize every single penny on the spot. They treat undeclared cash as guilty until proven innocent, forcing you into a massive legal battle just to prove your own money belongs to you. It is the ultimate government magic trick where your life savings completely disappears in an instant. The sheer absurdity of these travel regulations proves that crossing a border is a high-stakes gamble. Should border agents really have the unchecked legal power to search your private digital life without a warrant? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed surviving this bureaucratic nightmare, hit that like button and subscribe for more unbelievable stories.